Hello and welcome to Empyrion Planetology. I am your host, Excalibur. And today, my aim for this is to try and um, dispel the myth when people say I can't build POIs. Um, it's too complicated. I could never do something like that. I'm hoping to try and dispel a lot of that, because I firmly believe that a lot of you can actually build POIs and you don't really know it, because there's many different kinds of POIs. So I've got a selection here that you can all find. I just want to talk you through them. Next video, I'll be showing you how to add a POI into your game. But I thought this one would be a helpful one to go through, just to try and give people a few ideas in terms of what they can actually build. Because all of these are player built. So if we go to the workshop a second, so that's F2, give it that, there we go. Now if you click on, you're all familiar with your own builds, your subscribed builds, the prefabs, or the stock, as they call it there. There we go. But have you ever clicked on internal? Ignore those ones at the top, but oh, no, here we go. So all of these are the POIs you will find in the game. So this is essentially the POI repository, essentially. It's in the prefab folder um, in Empyrion Galactic Survival Contents Prefabs. That's where you'll find the files. Um, so let's spawn in one that you might be familiar with. Let's let's just try drunk thing. Oh yeah, I recognise this one. So there we go. So that's how I spawned them in. So if we quickly go on to their display, here we go. So the first one is this piece of package. There's a whole bunch of these. I've just shown you one, but this is another. It's got no core, none whatsoever. So if I try and do the P menu on it, it doesn't matter how many times I press it, it's just not going to come up. I'm just going to break my keyboard, my finger. Um, but you can see there's nothing to this. It's got one box, one cargo box, which gives you some goodies, and these are listed around the starting area. Um, these are your starting POIs that you can salvage and gain resources to build your first constructions with. So this kind of thing is in everybody's realm. Now, admittedly, there is a light here, so it is highly advanced technology. And it does have, for a small thing, it does have a great look. But it's just choosing. There's a lot of damaged items on here. It's small. A lot of people could do that. These other two here, that's spawned in as a base. These two are the damaged hover vessel and the damaged SV that you can find and do up in the game to serve as your first builds if you don't want to build your own. Like the hover vessel, you all know this. You put the fuel tank in, the generator, you add a core, bingo, you've got yourself an operational HV. But I thought I'd show you these two because every single one of us has built a HV or a SV for the first time. So if you think of those very first ones you built, all the way to the most complex, the most biggest, baddest, meanest HV/SV you've ever built, those can also be turned into POIs that are damaged, that you have to rebuild and so forth. It's more than doable, because here's two examples right here. So straight away, in the sense that I haven't building a POI is too technical. You kind of already have. You kind of already have, depending on your point of view. Because take the call out, remove a few blocks, remove a few items, save it. You've got yourself a POI. All you need to know how, and this is what we'll do in the next video, if I haven't said already, is how to spawn into a game. Now we're going to skip past these a second. This is a crashed vessel that you will find. Again, it's highly disfigured, and let's just say there might be a bit of a problem with oxygen flow in space if we did happen to get into space with it. It would be quite a thing because it's not a CV, it's a base. But you can clearly see it started, the shape of it started off as a CV, and it's just been kind of moored to death until it's got that crashed vessel look. So for every single CV you've built and you don't plan to get working again because of CPU or some other reason, you can grunt it up a bit, make it, give it that destroyed look, remove a fair few blocks. I mean, obviously, you can see the state of it. They've taken some time to get rid of a lot of blocks and texture it, but you can easily spawn this in using the F2, and then you see just type in crushed. It's here, trust me. Yeah, it's in there. Typical. So you can easily spawn this in terms of texturing and blocks to remove from yours. Remove the core, and bingo, you've got yourself a POI. Now, this is the kind people usually say, oh, I can't do this. This is a build. This is the Xerox power station. There you go. You see the tag right there. And it has been built as a POI. So it's been built with roleplay in mind. And it does have spawn pads and so forth. So yes, it is a POI. But if you take out, if you give it a normal core, if you remove, say, the sentry turrets with the player sentry turrets, and the same thing with the alien turrets, there you go, to our turrets, and you get rid of the spawn pads, it's essentially a base. Just think about that for a second. So if there's any base that you yourself have built, you could turn it into a POI. It might be more fancier than this, it might be very blockish if it's your first couple of bases, but you can turn it into a POI. In terms of building stuff, like this is T-Rex's Taish base. You'll see this one again in the next video I've got planned, because this is a good example of a base with an underground section. And with POIs, those can be a bit problematic, but we'll come to that in turn. But I just want to show you this one briefly, that this is something someone has built, and it's got tremendous roleplay value. You can see this on the workshop. It's a very recent one, and it's just fantastic. You know, I mean, this is a base which has a story to it, but it's been built as a player base. But it could very well be a POI. The thing that doesn't make it a POI is really that core. So we're going to do something quickly. If you look for, in the item menu, alien blocks, it looks like a red core, which I've got here. If you right click it, you've got all these options. like the alien containers, the spawn pads, the drone spawn pads, the dreaded NPC admin core, the sentries, and your NPC core, which is a default one. I'm just going to get rid of the player core, put in the NPC core, and technically speaking, all I should have to do is to save this, code it up so it spawns in a survival game, and you've got yourself a POI. There is a problem with this because it's underground, so I'll come into that in the next couple of videos. But moving swiftly on, this is a space yard POI in space. It's a shipyard, so it's kind of self-explanatory. You've probably all seen this one as well. So yes, this has been built as a shipyard. You could easily build this, your own version of a shipyard and turn it into a POI. Now, when it comes to when people usually say, "Oh, I can't build a POI," they're usually talking about ones like this, which is Vermilions. Great, build a shed ton of POIs. Missile base that you find on the snow starter. Now this has had a lot of thought put into it. The time it took and is extremely well put. It's got spawn pads for days. It's got a signal logic. You've got to go through it in a certain way to complete it, which I happen to like. Some people don't, but I love it. This is the kind of thing people say, I can't build this. Well, not at first perhaps, but you can easily convert some of your own bases to POIs. And once you've started converting your own, sometimes, perhaps you want to build your own missile base, or your own spaceport, or your own civilian housing, or maybe a civilian colony, or some kind of Taish Industries Operations Center, like T-Rex has done. Just build something with some roleplay value, and the more you do it, the easier it will become. It's like anything else. Now, something else which I had to spawn it way out is let's see. Now see, here it is. The Krill Overseer by Jeff Randall. This is now in the game, but it started off as a player CV. It's on the workshop, but it's been converted into a POI. Now, this did have to be reduced for size class because it was size 19. I think it's size, what's it now? 15. There you go. So it's been reduced a bit, so it's less laggy. But again, the core has been changed from a player core to the NPC core. So with that done, I'm going to zoom over here. So you saw me briefly doing it on T-Rex's build. This is Excalibur's Cauldron. Something else which I just happen to like. I want to place an NPC core. So, I haven't done anything else to it. I've just spawned in as you can get it from the workshop. I'm going to shift right click, get rid of his core, put the NPC one in. Bingo. I can now use that to spawn in as it currently is. Now, I could, if I wanted to, just place some spawn pads. We'll go into these later on. I'm just doing it to emphasize a point. Honestly. Let's have one here. Let's have a couple of spawn pads as well. Yeah, why not? Now, obviously, I've done that extremely quickly. If I did want to turn this into a POI, I'd have to do it with a lot more care. But there you go. That is a POI. It's got an NPC core. It's got some spawn pads. I can save that and code it and have it in the game. And there we go. It's as simple as that. So can Excalibur build POIs? Well, actually, yes, he can, because I've just turned it into one with very minimal effort. In terms of, this is Annie Noaim's NSC Haven Arc Mark II, which, again, is on the workshop. It definitely has not been built as a POI. It's huge, but I love this. It's great. The details that's gone into it is just tremendous. It's so good. Got some LCD art as well. It really does need to be build more of these. So here's the core. We're going to get rid of it. I'm going to put the NPC faction, the NPC core from the alien blocks, and there you go. I can save that, spawn it in. Obviously, for these, the faction it spawns in is going to dictate a couple of things, but that's essentially a POI. Perhaps I want to put in an ultra loot container, so I'm just going to put it, dink, there you are. And you know, it's as simple as that. Now, obviously, if you want to build a base, or if you want to build a Xerax style build, that's different. But if you want to build your own POIs, you can kind of do it already. Just look at your previous builds, see what you have built. So there we go. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully I've got you thinking in terms of, well, actually maybe I can build a POI. So have a look. Have a look and see what you've built before. See what you think. Oh, well, you know, that's small. I can kind of turn that into a POI, or just put a few blocks together, a bit of wreckage. Because next video, we're going to learn how to add a POI into a scenario. So, with that said, have fun, keep safe, and get those creative juices flowing. Ta-ta.